Calioris, hitting up these box squats on this day, some chain box squats. I got 2 sets of chains on each side, and what happened was I built up normal, but with the chains, it made it so fucking hard to build up that I only ended up getting in like 4 sets before the weight got heavy. So my body didn't have time to accommodate, and here you can see I failed. This is 385. I took a set of chains off because it was starting to get really heavy, but 385 with a set of chains on it, and I failed that double again. I think if I had just built up a little bit slower on the squat, I could have warmed up a little bit better, and it wouldn't have been such an issue. I wouldn't have felt so fatigued as I'm going through these sets here. But I managed to scrape together this 385 for a shaky double. It's a pretty low box, and when you box squat, you got to remember you're trying to sit back onto the hips and hamstrings. You're not trying to sit down like I'm about to do with these high bar squats. Because when you sit down onto a box, what happens is that energy, that potential energy from the barbell travels through the spine into the box and then back up your spine. And when you do that, you start compressing discs and creating all these issues that you don't really want. So I see it all the time where people sit down onto the box and then they call it a box squat. They bounce off the box or they rock and rip off the box, and that's not a box squat. Like, sorry about you. So 275, I did that high bar, 5 sets of 5, felt terrible, everything hurt. And then I don't know when exactly I did those squats. It wasn't, these videos are going to be out of order from now on, but ended up hitting on a Sunday deadlift party with my buddy Zach here. Pulled from the floor. You can see we got bands pulling forward, chains pulling down. Pulled a bunch from the floor. As the weight got heavier, we pulled from the 4-inch boxes. As the weights got heavier, we put another set of boxes underneath. And the idea here was just to accumulate volume and resistance. And basically, I topped out at about 475 with 2 sets of chains and the bands. And Zach ended up at 435, I think, 2 sets of chain and the bands at the highest boxes. The bands, I knew the bands were going to pull me forward, so it really makes me sit back into my deadlift. It keeps me on my heels, and it doesn't hurt my hip, which is really nice. So, but I think the bands were actually adding a ton of resistance as we were pulling up, making the deadlift obviously harder. And I don't think I took that into account as much as I should have while doing these deadlifts. Because when we got to about 405, you can see that was probably 455, maybe? I don't remember. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's probably about 455 there. It got pretty fucking hard. So instead of adding straight weight, I just threw another chain over the top and was hoping just to grind out a couple reps or a rep there. No, man, that must have been, I don't even know. Sorry guys, I don't know what I'm doing here. Maybe these videos are out of order a little bit or something too. But no, this was 475. 475 with a single set of chains. So when I did this, it felt hard. I hit it for a nice triple, and what I was really happy with though on this day is how good I was maintaining positions with my back. I wasn't getting so pulled out of position, so rounded over that I ended up squatting the weight up and then extending my back. It actually looked like a stiff leg deadlift. Yeah, so that's 475. So when I threw the set of chains over the top, 475 plus 2 sets of chains, wasn't moving. So we ended up just backing down to 315, 2 sets of chains and bands, and hitting sets of 10. 2 sets of 10 on the high boxes, 2 sets of 10 on the low boxes, and a set of 10, just 1 set of 10 from the floor. And the floor was surprising because it felt like the weight was going to move fast, and as soon as your joint leverages open up, the chains kick in hard, and you can't go fast. But because you're applying that force, maintaining a steady bar velocity, you are actually increasing your rate of force development, which when you go to lift again, is going to let you produce more force at a faster rate, which means that you should be able to lift heavier in theory. And that's kind of the idea with these chains and bands and why I kind of do it. It's not just to kind of cheat, but really to apply force as the joint angles open up. So when you get to a straight bar, when you get to the car deadlift or whatever, it all feels pretty fucking easy. And part of it too is not knowing how much weight is actually on the bar. So you really have to be listening to your body and realizing that maybe you can do 4 or 5 reps, but you should probably stop at 2 or 3 because the chains are going to start kicking your ass real soon. Making small jumps is a huge factor too. See, I'm just hammering these ones out now. You can see I'm lifting with my head up a little bit too, which is something I don't normally do. And the idea there is I'm trying to extend my back pretty hard. I'm trying to get my erectors to fire and build some erector strength and trap strength because even in the deadlift, like when the deadlifts start getting heavy, I tend to get pulled out of position at the bottom, something I've been doing for a long time right there. Just a little squeak, but I don't want that to happen anymore. And it's part of locking my lats down. It pulls my T-spine in, and it makes me super stable, but, train your weaknesses, and then you won't have any. So I'm lifting with my head up a little bit, lifting with my back a little bit more, my erectors, and it feels pretty good, pretty therapeutic. My erectors were lit up for days after this. My back was just burnt. Zach was complaining for like the next 5 days, saying how much of a baby back bitch he was. But yeah, these chains, I don't know. I like lifting with the chains. I like lifting with the chains because it feels good. It's something I'm not really used to. When you got too much band tension, or when you try to lift with bands, you can only get a couple reps in before the bands just break you down, really kick your ass. But with the chains, you can do a lot more because there's less kinetic energy. You can see it kicks in real hard at the top with the bands too. I had to pull my shorts back down because it was pulling leg hairs out. Um, the bands hold more kinetic energy, so they're actively pulling you back towards the earth, whereas the chains are just potential energy that accommodates the resistance as you're lifting the barbell up. You can't feel the chains until they come off the ground and they're supported only by the barbell fighting gravity. So when that happens, it's a little bit easier than bands on the CNS, but it's still, you got to understand, it still gives the nervous system uh, a pretty tough workout. But you can see like how well I'm actually organizing myself on this deadlift day, and that's something I was pretty proud of. Usually I feel like a bag of shit when I try to deadlift, so on this day, everything was feeling pretty good. I just decided to hammer reps and hopefully make a little progress. So that's about it for now, guys. I appreciate you watching. Here goes Zach on his last set, and that's it. Make sure you check out Highly. Make sure you check out my boy Kevin Meyer. Stand Down Apparel. You can see that brand new professional American t-shirt. Uh, go buy yourself one. Buy yourself a red shirt. Remember, everyone deployed. Wear it on Fridays. Everybody at the gym does. It's kind of a social and culture thing that we have at our gym now, is to wear some sort of stand down on Friday. And my boy Kevin Meyer, American Sniper in the Army, and handsome as hell. So thanks. Take care. Comb your hair.